Well then, we have a new update and with it a bunch of new stuff, so let's check some of it out, shall we? We're gonna start off with the Amanata, a Master Rank 2 polearm which does primarily slash damage, though it still has a decent chunk of puncture, and it sports a 24% crit and status chance, a 2x crit multiplier, and an attack speed of 1. It also has a really cool unique mechanic where every 30 hits you roll a dice and you get one of 5 buffs or all 5 buffs at once for the next 30 hits. And finally, this polearm is available from the new Saya's Vision defense mission that you can start from CETAS. So let's give it a shot, or a swing I suppose, shall we? New toys for me? Old school World of Warcraft references? I don't even know if anyone's gonna get it nowadays. Blimey, that is a lot of stuff. Whoa, that looks different, but kinda cool. I like it, very sleek. Roll Kume's die with every 30 hits from Amanata to empower yourself with one of 5 Kume blessings. Roll a 6 to receive all blessings at once. That sounds cool. I think we're gonna start with that. They're actually listed up here. Final crit chance, status chance, damage, range, attack speed? Wowee, that is very cool. Let's get a stance on. Bleeding Willow will do just fine. I'm gonna start without influence because influence can make anything good, so we're gonna start with fortification and just do a normal build, and then we're gonna do influence. Wait, what do you mean hold to fuse? Whoa. Well, that's convenient, isn't it? Condition overload, blood rush as well. Though, hold on a second. Well, no. Galvanized steel, that's a thing as well. How much crit damage do you actually get from this? Let's use the new fusion function. That is I don't have enough endo. 120% crit damage? That's more than Organ Shatter, right? Yes, it is. Organ Shatter is only 90. Why would you ever run Organ Shatter then? Well, I suppose you could double up on crit damage. That's the thing you could do. Yeah. We still need Blood Rush though, because the steel is not enough, so let's get that in there. Galvanized Elementalist. There it is. That gives us a nice chunk of status chance as well. We're still gonna run Weeping Wounds though. How does this compare to Sack Steel? 110 versus 220. So it's exactly half of what you get from Sack Steel. Get some attack speed in there. We're gonna go Viral, obviously. And we're out of capacity. Bit of a ramp up, which isn't unusual for melee weapons. We need to ramp up our combo for Blood Rush, though we also need to get a handful of kills to ramp up the galvanized mods, but it's not too bad. There we go, we're starting to get stuff going. I love the UI element of the different buffs popping up. It should be popping up right about now. There we go. Now we get attack speed. That's neat. I like the way they've done that. It's interesting that they decided to limit it by number of hits. Like, at first I thought it would be duration based, so you could go for like a lot of attack speed and stack multiple buffs at once, but at least this way you always have some kind of a buff, even at the start of the mission. And there it is. Let's slap a V right here. Weeping Wounds. Nobody saw that. Should be enough, right? Yep. Good stuff. I guess we can add another V. I mean, 3 Vs on a melee weapon, not too bad. You can do a lot of stuff with that. Let's weep. Bam. There it is. Yeah, the ramp up is definitely noticeable. The weapon lacks a bit of power in the first few swings, but let us not forget that this is a Master Rank 2 melee weapon, so the fact that it has a bit of a ramp up and then it starts to destroy everything is not a big deal, I think. I'm gonna switch Harrow to Corrosive Heat and Radiation for a bit of extra priming for Condition Overload. We're gonna have to try some new pet builds because you can run the new galvanized stuff on pets, plus we have like a bajillion new pet mods too. Oh, I love me a good polearm, just a good old-fashioned windmill build. Love it. Ooh, and the pop-ups, right, they're absolutely useless. Like, it's not like you can do anything about them, not really, so they didn't have to add them, but every time I see them, they make my monkey brain happy. Look at that, like we rolled a 6, we have all 5 buffs. Terrific. Like, I do realize the idiocy of running like a very expensive galvanized and primed mods on a Master Rank 2 weapon, but still, this weapon absolutely shreds, even without an influence build. Where'd you go? I need to chop off your Yaneski. There you are. Sit down. I said, sit down. Sore wa akarai desu ka? No, I guess not. What's going on? The screen was flashing. And it's about time for... Yes, it is Melise. Melise, what are you doing? Melise, stop it. You're being naughty. I said, stop it. I'm gonna heavy attack you, I swear to fucking God. I mean, it's a status build without Tennokai, can't expect too much from it, but, you know, overall not too bad. So this is good. Yes, we like this very much. The one thing I would actually recommend if you want to run this build is I would, I would run unranked dual stat mods on this, because that way you get a better ratio of slash and vital, and you will save a forma. Now it's time to go crazy. Top it off with opportunities reach. Now that's a big boy build, alright? We do need Arcane Strike for attack speed, though they didn't quite fit in. Let us rip and tear, my dudes and dudettes. Oh, I love influence setups. They're just so very good and silly. And, well, I whiffed. One thing about influence setups, yeah, and this is kind of an idiot's problem, yeah, a perfect example of a first world problem, is that they are sometimes too effective. Yeah, the damage and the spread of the damage is so very good. It feels like you have nothing to fight because everything just dies. By the way, this does not need Tennokai at all, so if you want to, you can save yourself the adapter. Tennokai on this weapon is, with this build, it's kind of like a tremendously damaging cherry on top of a very destructive cake. The cool thing about weapons like this, that being hybrid weapons that have a decent amount of slash, is that it can help with single target damage, because one thing that influence setups don't do particularly well is single target damage, but if the weapon has a decent amount of slash, it can actually help with that. And it does. Come here, I want to heavy attack you. Whoosh. Yeah, that does help. So, like, for Acolytes, Tennokai is nice, but for normal enemies, you really don't need it. So, here's the final build for the Amanata, and I do realize that it's kind of silly to run this kind of a setup on a weapon that requires Mastery Rank 2. We have Bleeding Below for the stance, and then Opportunities Reach for our Tennokai trigger. This just gives you a lot of range, which is nice. The best thing you can usually do with melee weapons once they have enough damage is just make them hit more enemies at once. Then we have Unranked Vicious Thrust and Virulent Scourge for a little bit of vital damage, Shocking Touch for a ton of electricity, Whipping Wounds to scale our status chance based on our combo counter, Primed Pressure Point for damage, Blood Rush to scale our crit chance based on our combo counter. Then instead of Organ Shatter, we're running Galvanized Steel, which gives us a ton of crit damage but also a nice chunk of crit chance, Galvanized Elementalist for status damage and status chance, and of course we can't forget about Melee Influence, which is an absolutely ridiculous arcane. I also want to mention that we weren't able to fit an attack speed onto the build, so we're running Arcane Strike to fix that, and we're using the Naramon Focus School for combo duration. This is an absolute blender. It's a fantastic weapon for a melee influence setup, but it also works without an influence setup, as you saw with a good old vital slash build. And the unique mechanic is also pretty fun, even though you can't really play around it. So my verdict is yes, do give it a shot, or a swing, I guess. And as always guys, I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have any suggestions for the series, no matter how silly they are, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. And finally, I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.